everybody, it's Rachel from Blackstrap Youth Camp coming at you today with a classic coming from camp. It is our tie-dye headband tutorial. So today I'm going to walk you through step by step how exactly we get a tie-dye headband looking like this to our finished product looking like this. First things first, what we're going to need, if you are doing this outside, great, we don't have to worry about a mess. It's probably better if you do it on a lawn or somewhere that's not going to absorb the dye. But if you are needing to do this inside for whatever reason, how we've set it up today inside the cathedral is I've laid a big plastic mat down underneath, and then I've taken a cookie tray and put it inside of a plastic garbage can, which just reduces the chances of tie getting everywhere, making a mess. It wouldn't be fun if we did that. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now that we have our area prepped, first things first, we are going to need a spray bottle of water. That's what I'm using today. Or if you're doing this at home, you can run your headband fabric underneath the sink. That'll get it nice and wet, all ready to go. But for today's purposes, what we're gonna do is lay our headband out as much as we can. And I'm gonna take my spray bottle, and I'm just gonna make sure that the whole area of the fabric is nice and absorbed, pretty damp, ready to go to absorb the dye. So I'm just gonna take a minute to do that. Bear with me, as sometimes this spray bottle is a little bit prickly with me. But it looks like she's doing a pretty good job today, which I appreciate. I'm just gonna get it all nice and damp, ready to go. And the reason we make it damp is to make sure that the dye is going to absorb the colors. You're gonna get it on both sides, make sure it's ready to go. Okay, so your sheet should be looking like this. Next step, what we are going to do is, you can choose to put on gloves right now, or you can wait. I think I'm gonna wait a second before I put them on, just because I'm not handling the dye quite yet. So what's gonna happen is I'm going to start making a bunch of little knots all throughout my headband. And what that's gonna do is create cool little designs and a fun little flair for your headband to look. So first things first, what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna start with a swirl pattern. So for this, I'm gonna take some of my fingers and just kind of pinch the fabric in the middle where I want my swirl to start, and then I'm just gonna twist, let go, bring it back to the middle and pinch again, and twist, let go, come back to the middle, twist. And once I have a shape pretty much like that, I think that's about the size that I want it. You can make yours bigger, you can make yours smaller, it's up to you because it's your headband. I'm going to take a little elastic band, which is provided to you in our care packages that we sent, and I'm just going to secure it around the little knot, the little twisty that I made. And how I'm doing that is I'm just pulling it tight, crossing the band over, and pulling it the other way. So it should look like that. Sound good? Okay, so that's our first knot done. I think for the next knot that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spread out my fabric. And I think I'm just gonna kind of crumple it, because maybe that'll make a cool design. So I'm just gonna take my hands and go, that was kind of fast, but maybe I'll wrap it around a bit, make a nice little knot there, so it'll look like that. However you wanna do it. I'm gonna take another elastic band and I'm gonna wrap it around. Same way I did before, just kind of pulling it, crossing it over, pulling it through, making another little loop, pulling it through. If you are having issues doing this one and you're having some troubles managing the elastic band, that's okay. Maybe ask mom or dad or an older sibling, someone who could help you with it, and I'm sure they'd love to get involved. Okay, for the next one, I think I'm gonna do another swirl design. So again, I'm going to take my hands, pinch kind of in the middle where I want my swirl to start, and twist, and I'm let go, come back in, pinch, and twist, let go, come back in and twist. There we go. I think that's about as big as I'd like it. It's pretty good to me. I'm gonna take another elastic band, and I'm just gonna do the same thing and secure that knot with my elastic band, wrapping over and under until I feel like it's tight enough for me. do that. So I've got 3 knots going on. I'm gonna do, I think, maybe 1 more. Yeah, I think I have enough fabric for maybe 1 more knot. And for this one, I think I'm just gonna crumple it again. So I'm just gonna go twist it, turn it, smush it as much as you want. It's up to you because it's your headband. And I'm going to take my elastic band one last time, and I'm just gonna secure it around the knot that I just made. So I'm going to tie it up. That's why we call it tie-dye, you guys, if you didn't know. It's because you're tying your fabric into a bunch of different shapes and sizes, and then you dye it, and it comes out looking super cool. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. This is what shape mine came out with. If yours doesn't look the same, that's okay, because you customized it to your own personal preferences. Next step, I'm gonna put it down, back away from it. I am going to put on my gloves. Just so that my hands don't get all dyed. This is a pretty messy craft, so we wanna make sure that we're keeping our area nice and clean. Putting on my gloves. Okay, now at this step, if you haven't done so already, we gotta prep the dye. Now my dye is already ready to go, but just for your reference, I'm gonna go over and walk you through how to make your dye. So in your care packages that we sent you, you're getting this bottle and then a little mixture of, what would you call this? Dust? Powder. Powder's a better word, not dust. And it's gonna be just at the bottom of your bottle here. What you wanna do is fill your bottle up 3/4 of the way up with water. Doesn't have to be warm, doesn't have to be cold, just somewhere in the middle. And just leave about this much space left over, and that is just gonna be for you to shake it. It's gonna have room for you to shake it. So then what you wanna do when you shake it, see this cap right here, this colored cap? Make sure you put it on. And to do that, I'm just gonna take it off real quick to demonstrate. You want to wait until you hear the click to make sure that it is completely sealed. Because if you shake it to mix it up, then it could go over everywhere. So you wanna put your cap on and hear the click. That was satisfying. Okay, so my cap is clicked on. What I'm gonna do, just for safety's sake, is put my thumb over top and just kind of give it a shake. So you're shaking your powder and your water mixture together, and you're getting your dye. So it should look something like this when you're all ready to go. So, now for the fun part. We're gonna uncap the lid pretty carefully, set it to the side. You can see that I've already got some dye on my gloves here. This is where it gets messy, you guys. And I'm just gonna start dyeing the areas around my fabric and my headband. So I think I'm gonna go a little right here. It comes out pretty fast, so you wanna be careful with that. I would start off with adding less than you want, and you can always go back in and add more dye later. So keep that in mind, okay? I might flip mine around, add some little floopies here, some little splotches. Ooh, that's looking nice. I'm liking this purple color. Gonna get in and around, go on to my next knot, get it in there, put it there. Okay, and I think I'm gonna go onto the other side. It's pretty bare on this side. Gonna add some color. Get on in there. Okay. And if you notice, some of our knots, because they're all twisty, they might not be getting dye on the inside of the knot. So if you want yours to look more colorful, what you can do is find a little opening in one of your knots. I think I'm gonna go with this one right here. This is a good example. So there's a little hole. What you can do to get the color inside is take the little top part of your nozzle and just kind of put it in there and just kind of let it come out on its own, and it'll start to be dyed on the inside. So if you want to have yours more colorful on the inside, you can go ahead and use that technique, or you can just keep going with what you got going on the outside of the fabric as well. So I'm just gonna add a few more splotches of color. I think mine is looking pretty good so far. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think we're wrapping up here with the dye. I'm just gonna make sure that the in-between parts where I don't have my elastic tied and I don't have any knots is also dyed if I want it dyed. So I'm just gonna add some in there. It's gonna make some really cool, colorful patterns. All right, and I think that should be good. I wrapping up. Okay, so I'm gonna set my tie-dyed headband down, and I'm going to pick the cap back up, and I'm gonna put it on top and wait for the click. Ah, the click, and that means it's sealed, and we're gonna gently place it to the side, making sure that no dye is getting anywhere else. We wanna keep the area as clean as possible. So now that we have finished tie-dyeing our headband, what we are going to do, there are two options for this part, is you can take either a plastic bag, that's what I'm using today, or you can use saran wrap, and you're going to wrap your headband that you just finished dyeing and place it on the inside of either the plastic bag or wrap it up in saran wrap. And we're going to do that. And what this does is it allows the dye to kind of set in and absorb fully onto your headband. Pro tip, you want to make sure that there's not a whole lot of air inside of your bag or the saran wrap. So what I like to do is sort of lay mine out flat and just kind of give it a squeeze. I like to put my headband at the bottom and just kind of smooth out that surface. Smooth it out so that there's no air bubbles in there. And once I think that there's no air bubbles in there, then I go ahead and I close it. So we're gonna seal the bag or wrap your saran wrap up pretty tight. As you can see, this is a very messy craft. I do have a bunch of dye all around my bag. So what you can do is kind of give it a scrub off, maybe run a paper towel over top just to kind of absorb some of that dye. And then to finish up, these are the last steps. We're going to let it sit for 8 to 24 hours. So come back and check in about a full day's worth after you have finished dyeing your tie-dye. So you're gonna leave it to let it set for 8 to 24 hours. Leave it alone, don't touch it, just let it soak. And then after that time period has finished, you can come back, take your tie-dye out of the wrapping that you've chosen for it, either a plastic bag or saran wrap. Then you want to wash it gently under the sink and squeeze all of the extra dye out underwater. And you want to keep doing that until your headband and the water runs clear. So your headband should still have color in it. You want to take the elastic bands off when you're doing this and run it underwater until the water comes out clear. Then what you want to do is let your headband dry. Now you can either throw it in your washer and dryer machine, so your dryer machine, and let it dry in there. I would suggest that you only place that in there. Don't put it with any other clothes or any other laundry items that you might have. Just keep it to itself, because if there's excess dye, you don't want it dyeing your other clothes. So what I like to do for when I'm tie-dyeing is I unwrap my tie-dye and I place it outside in the sun, and it should dry in just a couple hours if it's in direct sunlight. So that's probably the best way to do it. If you're worried about your tie-dye headband accidentally getting flown away by the wind, that's okay. Just maybe find a rock or a heavier item to place on top of it, and that should keep it from flitting away, and it can stay at your house, in your backyard, or wherever you would like to dry your headband. And then there you go. There you have it. You have your headband all nice and dry for you there. You can take it out, unwrap it, wear it as an armband, as a headband, style it however you want, and there you go. You've got your awesome BYC signature tie-dye headband. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I would love to see them in your creations later on. See you at Virtual Camp, guys. Bye!